Hi guys and welcome back to our channel, where we recap your favorite games for you. Today we are going to recap the video game called Ghost of Tsushima, so without further ado, let's begin. It all begins in 1274 when the Mongol Empire is trying to invade Jin Sakai's home. Mongols are known for their brutality and relentless behaviors. Jin Sakai decides to stand against this massive army, resulting a slowdown in their pace for the invasion. Jin Sakai pledges that today he will die for his people as there are thousands of people looking towards him. It's not their strength that helps him to fight with this massive army, but his courage and honor which inspire them. With the roar and terror of war, these samurai pledge to fight till their last breath. After this, one of them goes towards the Mongol invaders and challenges them that they must send their finest warrior to face him. Samurai introduces himself as Harunobu Hadaji, a descendant of the legendary Yoshinobu Adachi. But Mongols on the other side follow no rules and honor in fighting. Harunobu's opponent, instead of fighting with him, just put him on fire. This is only a glimpse of Mongol cruelty. They ask all samurai to surrender. However, a horrible war starts between the two opponents. There is blood and death everywhere. Samurai lost many of their men as the Mongols are more powerful in every aspect. When they see that the Mongols are winning this battle, two of them plan a strategy to kill the Mongol leader with which they can end the fight. However, they finally locate him in the middle of the battleground but failed to assassinate him. Jin Sakai saw his uncle injured and lying on the battlefield. When all this is over, Mongol leader, who introduced himself as Khotan, the cousin of Kublai, grandson of Genghis, came and told the opposition leader that although they seem to be true warriors, they don't know the strategies to win wars. As Mongols not only fight with strength but also get knowledge of the language, culture, and traditions. They know about their villages and their strength and weakness. That's the reason for the samurai's failure and their success. Khotan again asks the samurai leader if willing surrender or not, but it's not in their blood to surrender. Ultimately, Khotan killed the samurai. On the other side, Jin is lying injured and unconscious on the battlefield. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself far from the battleground. As he stands up, he watches the battleground with revenge in his eyes, but he doesn't know how he makes his way here in a safe zone. Jin Sakai runs to find his sword and a moor, which leads him to a nearby hut. He meets a woman named Yuna there. She bravely killed the Mongol soldiers who attacked her. She said to Jin that if he wants his sword, he have to follow her. Yuna also told her that Mongols conquer half of the island and it's misery and war all around. Jin also asks about Lord Shimura, who was with him in the battlefield, but she said if he wants to move further, he has to forget him as he cannot do anything for anyone here. But when Jin insists, she told him that Mongols take all the prisoners to the east, but according to her, Jin cannot do anything to release them, neither reinforcements can help to resolve this situation. However, Jin is determined to help others, but for this, he needs his sword, which he soon finds in a nearby hut. As he holds his sword, he remembers his training days in which he pledges to remain loyal and fight for his people. Lord Shimura, who was his trainer and his father's brother, told him about the glory of his sword, which belongs to Clan Sakai. He also told him that it is made to save lives and end wars. Jin tries hard to do the best training and impress his uncle by following his instruction about discipline. Unfortunately, these good days of peace pass soon. As Jin and Yuna move forward, Jin saves many lives after seeing Yuna tell him that Mongol took his brother, so she needs his help to free him. Now Jin understands why she saved his life. But Jin told her that he will help her after he finds his uncle Lord Shimura. They travel to Castle Kaneda in hope that they may find Jin's uncle there. However, castle walls are too high to climb, so they directly attacked it. As he reaches inside, he saw Khotan, who was with his uncle. Jin seems to be shocked at this, but Khotan told him that his uncle told him many things about him. They fight well, but as this fight reaches nowhere, Khotan asks Jin to surrender so that he can bring peace here in his home. But Jin gets offended by this and injured Khotan with his sword, as a result of which Jin falls from the castle. When he was in deep consciousness, he remembered the death of his father in a battle and how he becomes the master of the clan Sakai. His uncle Lord Shimura motivates him as he is a samurai, but Jin felt guilty as he cannot save his father. He feels to be a coward. But his uncle told him about the glory of the warrior's death. This time, when he wakes up, he finds himself at a shore. He was slathered with grief and don't know how to save his people. He again goes back to the forest and meets with Yuna. Jin told her that although he finds his uncle cannot save him as Khan was there. He seems disappointed, but Yuna encourages him that he must make him strong enough to fight with the Mongols. After analyzing the situation, they decide to find more allies that may help them to fight against the Mongols. They decide to find Yuan's brother Taka, as he is a blacksmith, so he can make any tool Jin wants for a fight. Together they set out to try and find Taka, eventually saving him and reuniting the two siblings. After this, Jin's attention turns to more than 3 crucial allies, but their loyalty does not come free of cost. But Jin somehow manages to gather all of them against Khan. Unfortunately, Jin's loyal friend Ryuzo fails to show up with his Straw Hat army during the climactic fight. But as Jin approaches the castle and tries to find his uncle Lord Shimer, Ryuzo awaits him in the courtyard. At this point, Ryuzo reveals his betrayal and tells that now his loyalty is with Khan. This hurts Jin, but he somehow manages to control his emotions and continue to fight against them, and ultimately he wins. But instead of killing Ryuzo, he tries to talk with him. However, he has gone too far now, from which there is no point in return. He calls for reinforcements and flees. Meanwhile, Jin's uncle Lord Shimura is free now. Shimura notices the respect and follows Jin is starting to gain as the famous ghost. Now they all plan to move north for further actions. As they head towards Toyotama, their target is to get back the castle Shimura, which acts as the strategic head of the island. If they will be able to conquer this castle, it will be a blow to their enemies' faces. But before all this, he needs men and strength for the fight that lies ahead. For this, Jin sets out to help peasants revolt against the Mongols at Akashima village. By doing this, he gets some good archers with him. It's good fortune, as it will help him in fighting. After getting his new allies with him, Jin learns Ryuzo's whereabouts in a fort, so he runs to find him. But Jin is strung up and captured as the attack was from behind. Jin falls unconscious. When he opens his eyes, Taka is also present there. It appears that he went looking for Jin when he failed to show up and ended up being caught in the process. Soon Khan reaches there, as it's all his plan. Jin is tied up and Khan explains to him all his clever moves so that he can defeat Jin. Khan gives sword in Taka's hand that if killed Jin, he will be a free man. The swordsmith refuses and turns towards Khan, slashing wildly at him. This act of bravery leaves Khan injured. Jin tossed it and leave. Overcome with rage, Jin slaughters Ryuzo's Straw Hat soldier. On the other side, Yuna, who descends an equally tormented path upon seeing this, clears out of the camp. But she lost her brother here. Yuna told Jin that she only wants to give his brother a good life, to which Jin replied that soon they will kill them all. They got back to the Cantal Shimura, and Jin's uncle told him that there is not a ghost but a samurai who lives. Jin pledges that he will not disappoint his uncle. After celebrating their victory, Jin and his fellow samurai charge headfirst and fight their way through forces. Unfortunately, Khan is ready and launches a suicidal horse-drawn carriage toward them. This has explosives in it which destroy the bridge. Innocent soldiers died in this accident. After this, Jin wants to poison their enemies, but his uncle disagrees with it, as true samurai never follow this path. He fights with honor. Their fight bubbles up and eventually spills over to Shimura, giving a swift slap across the face. But after this, Jin listens to Yuna and heads in anyway, defying his uncle and ironically truing the fate of the battle in their favor. This caused the army to be driven back and the castle returned to its rightful owners. However, Jin's action makes his uncle offended, so he gets imprisonment for disloyalty. But Kenji helps Jin to escape from there. Jin makes his way to his horse and rides hard to leave from there. Unfortunately, guards notice his escape and shoot arrows that hit his horse. As a result of this, poor horses died on their way to the northern wasteland of Kamiagata. Jin staggered through the snow in isolation for a long time. Eventually, he meets back with Yuna, who encourages him to meet with their old friend called Takashi. They both ride toward them and save them from slavery and take Fort Jikaku back. As a result, he eventually joins Jin's cause. After all this, they turn towards Port Izumi, where Khan is holding up. During all this, Jin also writes a letter to his uncle so that he can help him by sending reinforcements, and also asks for his forgiveness. He delivered this letter personally to his desk without being spotted. Heading back to the north, Jin launches his attack. Midway through fighting, Lord Shimura arrives, and together the combined forces drive back Khan's men to their boats. Now final battle starts between Khan and Jin starts. Jin said to him that he will never leave this island alive. They both strike hard at each other, but then Khan plays a foul trick by putting sand in Jin's eyes. However, Jin does not stop and ultimately kills Khan. While killing Khan, he told him that his name will soon be forgotten on this island. With Khan's defeat, Mongol forces are scattered now. Jin leaves with Yuna to meet with his uncle. Jin's uncle requests his presence at their usual spot beside a lake. He asks him to leave as he is no longer a samurai. Despite paying their respects to Jin's father in the graveyard, he orders the shogun to kill Jin. Thus, Jin starts his final battle against his enemies. Jin finally beats his teacher. The student becomes a teacher now. Finally, Jin chooses to serve his people over all other things. Jin also gets his eternal peace at the end. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe for more great videos. We will see you in the next one.